Dr. Rachel Levine, otherwise known as Robert, was recently on PMS NBC. And of course, Dr. Levine, who apparently is also a naval admiral appearing in full dress blue uniform. I wonder if that's a rear admiral. Anyway, was asked by the host of PMSNBC about a host of things regarding COVID-19 and the BA variant and when can we expect new vaccines, etc., etc., etc. But you knew that they were there not to be the spokesperson regarding a health policy of the virus, but rather it was going to be political on the agenda of the LBGTQ, LMNOP community and regarding the transgender rights issue, and a Tennessee federal judge stepping in and blocking the Biden administration from what's called LGBTQ protections, when in reality what they were doing was by executive order redefining the definition of male, female, and now what constitutes as hate crime, harassment, etc. at school. It was supposed to be, again, pardon the pun, a back-end run around Governor Ron DeSantis in the state of Florida and other states doing what has been completely and erroneously mislabeled "Don't Say Gay." That is not what the law in Florida is about. What the law in Florida is about is simply stating that children should not be sexualized, in particular from the preschool to the third grade, whether it's homosexual, sexual orientation, heterosexual orientation. Children do not need to be engaged in the classroom on those topics. There was a time in America when that was kind of like, yeah, I mean, literally everybody went along with that. And it didn't matter which side of the political aisle you were on, didn't matter what your political ideology was, and that anybody that wanted to talk to kids about sex was considered a pervert, a groomer. Somebody was trying to condition the kids to be okay with behavior that might involve the very adult themselves that was doing the instructing, the guiding, the teaching. And so it was common practice for everybody, conservative, liberal, and everything in between. That is a topic that does not need to be dealt with in the classroom with young children. Stay away from it. But in Biden's America, every type of deviation and perversion is on the table, and we're being told we have to accept it. No, it's not okay. It's just not. And I'm sorry, when Dr. Levine, I forget their title again, they are the Assistant Health Secretary, and introduced by PMSNBC as an expert on diet and mental health. Well, let's back that up a little bit, because I'm sorry, there's no way I'm going to take medical advice from an overweight dude who is convinced she's a woman. That's just not going to happen. I'm sorry. Now, if there are adults who feel they are a different gender than what they were biologically assigned at birth, and an adult wants to do that, obviously, as a pastor, I have a theological position on that, which is greatly at odds with that. Well, we'll put that aside for a moment. As an American, as an adult, you have the right to make that decision. The problem is Dr. Levine is in a position where he, and yes, I'm sorry, Bobby, Robert, that's what I'm going to call you. He has the authority to enact policy like giving out hormone blockers to pre-puberty adolescents. No. Nay. At what point do we go from saying, okay, I understand we have to be accepting and understanding of people who have alternate lifestyles, etc. Again, We're not talking about adults. We're talking about children. Children. You know, kids. Kids who have whims. Kids who, what they want to do today, they don't want to do tomorrow. I love what Bill Maher said a few weeks ago. You know, when he was a kid, when he was 8, he wanted to be a pirate. And he said, thank God my parents didn't schedule me for eye removal and peg leg surgery. He also went on to say, you know, when something has been accepted for thousands and thousands of years as this is the normative of what we do, and then all of a sudden a group of people say, no, 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 we need a new normal. You know, we are allowed to say, time out. We don't just have to immediately embrace it. We can discuss this. We can debate this. We can even poke fun at it. This is how we deal with stuff. This is how we process. And to literally cut that off, along with appendages of anatomy, to just cut that off is the immediate go-to default position and not allow discussion and not allow debate. That's where the problems come from. And Bill is right. But I will say this. If you're a Christian, you understand that in 10,000 years of recorded human history, and if you happen to be an evolutionist who watches me, then you understand that in millions of years of history, scientific history, it's really pretty simple. The defining of a boy and girl is done at birth, and a person either has an XY chromosome or they don't. It isn't any more complicated than that. But if there are adults who feel they are something else, again, as an adult, as an American citizen, they have the right to pursue that. But they don't have the right to tell me that I am supposed to accept that as normal and that that needs to now be presented as normal to children, and that if a child is confused, obviously we need an adult there that can point them in the right direction. Now, we all know what that's code for. We all know what that's code for. Because this is, I'm sorry, if it's real, then it happens. Or are you creating it? You know, I understand that in places like Los Angeles, San Francisco, New York, you know, it's almost like, you know, the in couples, you know, all love to get together at their dinner parties and brag over which one of their kids is non-binary, which one of their kids, you know where I'm going with this. I live in a town where apparently the schools are allowing kids to decide what species they want to be. Isn't that special? They're actually allowed to wear little, you know, kitty ears or bunny ears, and they can have little, you know, paws that they wear. Now, they have certain rules about how they have to interact with other people, but we have to respect what species they are. Where are we calling this normal? How is this normal? You know, I'm sorry, but I am old enough to remember going to school back in the day when there was a special little bus that brought, I'm sorry, the emotionally disturbed and crazy kids to school. And they even had their own section of the building. And it was away from everybody else. Because that way, if they went crazy, well, they only went crazy with other crazy kids. And then one day, somebody from Lib Lunatopia showed up and said, we need to mainstream. We need to put all these emotionally disturbed and crazy kids all in the same classroom with all the normal kids. How's that working out for us? School shooting, school violence. How's all that working out for us? And now apparently we have got a generation that got mainstreamed and even went off to college and got a little piece of paper that said they're a teacher, and now they want to come back and teach this. Again, what an adult decides to do is different. Now, we're not talking about wanting kids to be targeted, bullied, harassed, etc. But again, kids, quote unquote, get confused about stuff. Kids are easily manipulated. You could talk a kid into just about anything. You know, when I was a kid, BJ and the Bear was a big TV show. I thought, being a 9-year-old, 10-year-old kid, hey, being a truck driver would be cool because you could have a monkey for a best friend and drive around the country. What did I know? I was a kid. Literally, I was a kid. There were reasons that, with our Superman TV show and things, they had to tell you, don't try this at home. Don't put a cape on and jump off your garage thinking you can fly. Because we're kids. And so when a kid says, I feel different, that's actually very normal for kids to feel. But we've got a group of people now that want to take that. This child feels different. We want to tell them, you are obviously born in the wrong body and you're non-binary or you're this or you're that. How about they're a prodigy? I'm sure Einstein was different as a kid. He could probably figure out math problems that the rest of his friends had no clue about. He was different. We know from reading biographies that Thomas Alva Edison was different. He wasn't wired like his peers. And you know what? Thank God, because we got some incredible inventions and innovations. And so there's nothing wrong with a young person feeling different. But different shouldn't automatically mean, aha, that a particular group of people with a political agenda and a sociological agenda get to spring into action and groom that child to be something that, again, that might not have even been the thing they were confused about, but now they get talked into it because you're different. That's dangerous. And I'm sorry, that is lunacy on steroids. And I am certainly not going to be lectured to about this by a past his prime dude who thinks he's a woman. That is just not going to happen. At what point do we say enough of this insanity? I was on TikTok the other day, and I'm not a TikTok guy. That's just not my media platform. But I had to go there because I was told there was a group of people over there that not only can you be transgender, trans fluid, not only can you be a different species, you can be cake. And I'm not making that up. There is literally a libloon on there saying that, hey, I'm cake. I identify as cake. Now, what that means is that I feel light and fluffy inside and sweet, and that's how I want to be identified. Okay, let me give you this much. That might be how you feel your personality is, that you're light and fluffy and sweet. But you're not cake. You're not batter in a pan going into the oven that's going to then get frosted and eaten. You're not cake. This is insane. And the fact that we have so-called government officials and health officials and so-called psychological experts telling us that we have to embrace all of this, that we have to keep adding stripes to the pride flag to embrace every type of psychotic thought, idea, and behavior is absolute lunacy. I'm sorry. It's not based on science. And for Dr. Robert Levine to say these kids are having mental breakdowns, but it's because of the bullying they're getting. No, it could just be they're emotionally off, and some of you got your hands on them, and then you really took them over the cliff rather than helped them. I'm sorry, but certain things really are settled science. You are born a boy or a girl. You have an XY chromosome or you don't. It's no more complicated than that. And we have got to stop allowing ourselves to be silent, to be pushed and intimidated into now embracing something that we know is absolutely wrong. Now, I've dealt with this topic before. There was a program on, I think it was on Facebook, My Family or something like that. It was, designed to show how families come in all different shapes and sizes. A transgender couple had a baby. The mommy became the daddy became the mommy. Okay. And they actually did an episode because the daddy who became the mommy was undergoing special treatments to be able to produce breast milk. And we actually saw on this show the dude attempting to, I'm sorry, the correct term is chest feed the baby. And kind of crying. It's just not working out. He can latch, but he's not getting anything. But it's okay. I'll just give him formula for now. But eventually, I wanna feed from me. That's not normal. And what type of psychological damage is being done to this child? You know, there was a time we would have said that child is in danger. That child is being abused. Is this child now some kind of lab rat to be experimented on? Because two warped adults that wanted to flip roles now want to tell me I'm not alone in how I think about this. I want to hear from you.